Hello and welcome back to Read Becca, and happy holiday to everyone. This is my weekly catch-up on what I've read, what I'm currently reading, what I'm looking forward to reading. This is not actually Caturday this week, so it's Friday. I've got the day off work because it's a full day holiday, so I'm filming a little early, and you will probably actually see this up for Saturday though. So yeah, so happy Christmas to all. My reading energy and focus was not where it should be this week. I did have lots of time for reading. I think I got a single email yesterday, and it just unfortunately didn't translate to pages read. So I think I read like 6 hours yesterday and only actually finished about 75 pages. So I'm still progressing forward. I'm still doing a lot of reading, but not as much as I expected. So I do still think I can finish almost everything on my TBR for the month though. So I finished one thing this week, only one, and that was a romance book. And this was so unexpected. I had picked this up for November, and I picked it up specifically because I didn't know anything about the book or the author. And it really surprised me. So stick with me on the initial premise. So the first chapter of this is bonkers. This starts with a very young Mia. She's 20 and in culinary school. And the opening scene is her at the doctor. And she's being told that false pregnancy tests happen, basically. So then we find out that she had an at-home pregnancy test that was positive. She lives with another chef from culinary school who is also friends with benefits, and they believed they were pregnant and just went out and got married before she even went to the doctor. So after finding this out at the doctor, she then goes home and packs everything up and leaves and never comes back. What? So crazy pants start, right? Crazy pants start. But then once we get past that, into 10-year forward jump, we have these two successful chefs. We get both of their perspectives, Mia and Camden. And it's actually really, really great. So they're super respectful to each other. They are being set up as these two successful chefs getting into a competition show. And so they kind of have to talk. They don't have any real animosity, it seems, which I really liked. It wasn't an enemies to lovers. It's a we don't really know what happened to lovers kind of situation, where they very quickly actually had the conversation where Camden was like, I don't understand what happened. And they talk it out. And then they get back together. And so this really mature relationship happens. And what I found really interesting here is that a part of this book that was completely unexpected to me is that Mia is actually a plus size protagonist. And so a lot of the issues with the communication and her kind of shutting down as part of the relationship is her lack of confidence and her insecurity about her body and about this attractive guy wanting her. And so it didn't seem like over the top angst. Everything that played out in parts of that relationship really rang true to me to what you would see from an overweight woman and things that women have gone through, and even down to her going to the doctor and having to deal with the first thing being she is told she needs to lose weight. So I thought that was really, really great. So not only was that great in terms of the representation that was laid out there, the communication was wonderful. The third act conflict was not a breakup. And that is basically an instant sell for me on trying a book. I hate when everything that involves disagreeing results in breaking up. So this was really mature. I really, really liked it. I think the beginning, as I said, was kind of crazy pants. The ending was a little bit soft as well for me. It didn't quite work, but it was a typical romance ending. So I was super surprised by this one. I think this was like a 4.5 stars. It had a great relationship. It had several steamy scenes, and it handles some of those really difficult themes really, really well. So definitely recommend this one. So then the stuff I have in progress that has been really slowing me down, I have two things going that are really, really dense. So I have still All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews. I expected to be a lot further along in this, and I'm still right about halfway. This is great, but it's just very dense reading for sure, and it's still like funny, but reading about depression is really heavy. And then I started, and I'm already almost 200 pages through The Dark Forest. And this one is proving to be even more dense. So this is the one that I read like 75 pages in 6 hours of. And it's interesting because at the beginning, there are sections where it's almost like text conversations, and that just was gripping and pulled me along and flew by. But then it transitions into, there's no chapters. There are chapter breaks. So this is all part 1 and no chapters in that, 180 something pages. And yeah, it's a lot to get through and very dense, very scientific. And there's a lot of philosophical conversations in here. So I'm really loving this though. And I think both of these, like, this is why you don't close out your best ofs. I was expecting both of these to be books I love, but like both of these absolutely could be on my best of list if they keep up the quality. So definitely happy with these. Then my big plan. So I kind of buried the lead last week when I mentioned that I would read through The Dark Forest in all my free time, right? Because I have had a secret plan ever since I talked about this in the Mooks and the Gripes bucket list tag. I have the #1 recommendation for me, The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster Bujold. This has been so recommended to me. I think it's going to be something I love. And so my plan to get to this year was that I'm going to read it all day on Christmas Day. So that's the plan. I'm going to start it probably when you're watching this, or I may be sleeping when you're watching this, depending on when it goes out. But this is going to be read on Christmas Day. I'm going to dedicate my day to it. We'll see if it's another dense one. This is the paperback. I actually have the hardcover somewhere, right here. Hardcover as well. And I hadn't realized this is 450 pages almost, so it's kind of chunky. But I'm gonna read it as much as I can, and I think I can finish it by the end of the year, because I said I absolutely do not want to go another year without having read this one. So that hopefully will be a fun one. Yeah, so I think that's everything that I'm actively in progress with. I'm also, I also have been reading some short stuff. So I read 3 stories from Amor Actually, which is a Latinx romance collection, as well as 3 stories from a magazine, khōréō magazine, volume 1, issue 1, which is a collection of SFF related short fiction and essays, and it's all from immigrant and diaspora authors. So I read 3 from each of those, and in both cases they were fine, but nothing really was a standout to me, and nothing was really bad either. So it was fine. So I think that's everything for reading. In terms of what's coming up, I think you will see my goals this week. I'm not going to get into any of the 2021 wrap-up stuff until the year's actually over. I'm not one of those, weirdos who is cutting off the year or not reading for the end of the year. I can't even imagine just not reading for a couple weeks. So I will, I think, next week on Saturday for New Year's, be spending probably a couple hours readjusting my bookshelves and clearing off the TBR shelf and reorganizing everything to make my new TBR. So I'm not sure, depending on time and my energy, whether you'll be seeing my 2022 TBR physical shelves or this kind of weekly wrap up. We'll see. It'll be one or the other. So I think this week has been an interesting one. My plans for the holiday got canceled at the last minute. They were very low key, very small, so not a big deal, but we now have full hospitals, and the region is saying don't travel, don't gather, that kind of thing. So they're not like requiring that of anybody, but based on the recommendation, it's the right thing to do for us. So I think that's probably a good thing. We also are not expecting any white Christmas here because the weather has really significantly warmed up. We got really cold, as you may have seen in my last video, but it's over 70 today. So me and Cinnamon took a very nice long walk in the sunshine, and everybody in the neighborhood was out. So that was nice to be able to do, but very odd. I'm trying to think what else. My reading focus has been really bad. I think I'm really having a lot of anxiety because my stitches are actually coming out for my dental work. And because the dentist was closed, I was not able to call them. Like, they closed early for the holiday. So I wasn't able to call just to verify, but like rationally, I know this is not a big deal and my stitches are coming out on Tuesday anyway, but I'm like, I couldn't confirm that and get external confirmation of that. So I'm just like, no focus at all. So I've been bouncing around all day, really. I've also been watching a lot of Christmas stuff, so I've continued on only Christmas all the time. I finished up the series Elves. So if you haven't heard about this, it's kind of it's one of those like cult hits on Netflix that happens, where it's a Danish show, I think. I'm pretty sure it's Danish. They mentioned Copenhagen. But so it's translated, and it's a horror show. So this family shows up at this really isolated island, and there happen to be like killer elves there. But it's so great, and it's a short episodes. It's like 20-25 minutes, something like that, and there's only a few episodes, and it's clearly not a big budget or anything. But what they did really, really smart in this, because it's horror and there's like violence and these weird little elves, they're not like humanoid elves, they're really fucking creepy, and they don't show everything. So clearly that's the way to go if you have a low budget. So there's a lot of like effective use of looking away and like just showing a blood spatter against the wall when you're kind of hearing things going on. So I thought it was great, and it was definitely to my level of horror, like not super duper gruesome. But I've never hated a child more than in this show. I definitely go through this show wanting this child to die. Yeah, it's a fun one. I really enjoyed that one. The other stuff that I watched in not horror, like actual Christmas movies, I watched The Castle for Christmas in the Castle, I can't remember. It's another Netflix movie with Brooke Shields and Carrie Ells, and it's great just because Carrie Ells is wonderful. It's pretty bad. I don't regret watching it because that's kind of what you are expecting when you're looking for Christmas movies. They're going to be very cheesy. This one was not great, but yeah, it filled my time, and I kind of enjoyed it, but not the best one. The other one that I watched was Dolly Parton's Christmas Square, I think. I'm pretty sure. Christmas in the Square. Yeah, it's real cheesy. It's exactly what you expect from a kind of Dolly Parton, very, very fluffy, magical, goofy type show. But I started it based on it being Dolly Parton in the title, and Christine Baranski is in the thumbnail. And then as soon as the actual title sequence started, it showed like every single thing, like the directing and the producing was by Debbie Allen, who runs a dance school. And so once you get into it, it clearly was a vehicle for showcasing her students of her dance school. So that to me was really, really cool. And so it's this full-on total musical with dancing the whole time, like singing and dancing the whole way. And Christine Baranski is this very grinchy rich lady who's like selling the entire town. So really goofy, but really fun. I liked it a lot. And of course, Dolly Parton, like anything with Dolly Parton, it doesn't matter how cheesy it is. Like, you have to love Dolly. So that's the stuff I've been watching. I really enjoyed all of that. So I guess all of my recommendations are end of the year and holiday appropriate. So number one is that there was a group of booktubers who read Christmas Carol, and that was so great. They did it one chapter per channel, basically, So I'm going to link that down below, but that started at Michael K. Bond's channel for chapter 1 if you want to go check that out. And so hopefully it's Christmas when you're seeing this and you'll be able to check that out. The other one is Bernadette Banner, who is not a booktuber, but she does costuming, like period appropriate costuming. She has a tier ranking, a 2-part video of tier rankings of period costumes in shows. And she brought on experts from a lot of different periods and regions. So I was really surprised that there was some historical K-dramas that they ranked. And so that was something I had not expected. So it was cool to see all the costuming and see them critique it. So I really recommend checking that out if that's even a little bit of interest to you. So I think that's it for recommendations for this week. The other thing in life, like I had a weird thing happen that I'm pretty excited about, but like I can't really, or I don't feel like I can talk to my friends about, because like everybody's been through such a hard year that even if they would be happy for me, it would affect people negatively, I know. So of course I'm going to talk about it here on the public internet, right? So I kind of like stupidly, or maybe through my ignorance, gave myself a Christmas present this year that, like so many people, I'm sure I'm having, I'm going through finances for end of year and like looking at the money coming in and out and everything in terms of like Christmas gifts or being extra money that's not usually part of my budget. And so I hadn't looked at my mortgage long-term in quite a while. And so I was sitting down to go through my finances and I started looking at that. So I have a 30-year mortgage and I expected to pay it off in a little over 15 years based on what I was doing. But I went back and apparently have completely misunderstood how interest works. And so my house is going to be paid off in under 15 years rather than over 15 years. And it will be this coming year. So 2022, I will have my house paid off, which is crazy. Like, that's bonkers to me. If I do go a little more aggressive, I can have it paid off by summer. Like that is wild to me. And that gives me so much less stress and more flexibility. Like I have definitely thought in the past at certain times about completely shifting gears on my career, which would involve taking significant pay cuts. And having this situation would mean I could do that if I wanted to try that at some point again in the future without feeling a lot of stress. So that's exciting. Or I thought about cutting my hours to volunteer at like a cat shelter. So like have a volunteer day every week. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm excited about it, obviously. And it's crazy to me that that's the case. Now, it does sound a lot more of a big deal and exciting than it is, because most people kind of take out extra money at the start when they get the mortgage so that they can do all the renovations and everything. I didn't do that. So I'm on the back end kind of having to catch up to that stuff. I have replaced all of the appliances in my house at this point, and I've kind of talked recently about I completely replaced my deck last year, and right now I'm in progress of getting a sliding door and windows replaced, and that's very expensive. So I still have a very, very significant amount of money to put toward that. So it's not like I'm going to all of a sudden have an influx of money that's not going to be going toward redoing my house. But I mean, that I won't have a monthly payment. All of the stuff that's remaining to do with my house is more updating and like major redo stuff that can be lived without if I needed to. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I'm very excited about it though. That gives me so much more freedom And it's such a weight off of me to have that, like, that debt, because I just don't like having debt in general. And I'm very young to have it paid off. So it gives me so much more flexibility about what I can do in the future. So anyway, that was my Christmas present to myself. So yeah, the other thing that I kind of wanted to float out there to everyone is I have been looking at doing anticipated releases. Is that something that you guys would be interested in seeing at a very small level? So I think right now I realized I had like 2 or 3 things that I either already have arcs for or are just on my list that I haven't really seen anybody talk about. I have done anticipated release stuff for other forums before, and it turned into something that was really a huge amount of effort. So I would be wanting to not do that, which is why I haven't done it up to this point on this channel. But I have been thinking about doing it at a very low-key level for 2022. So if that's something you would actually be interested in, I will do it. If you all are already feeling like you see too many anticipated releases, let me know and I will pass on it, because I really do want it to be something that people feel like they're not getting enough of or they want to see more of. Yeah, but that's something that's been on my mind. So that is it for me today, I think. I will be back with my 2022 goals in a couple days here, hopefully. But if not, have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. Me and Cinnamon are watching the Hugos. My hot cocoa. Very cozy evening. So Gumbo will not join us in the cuddle pile on the bed. Instead, she has a loaf toasting station here. You're such a goof. So I grabbed the last Christmas puzzle, or only Christmas puzzle, that was at the library. I know I said I was going to do a Tea Dragon Society puzzle, but I thought I would be seasonally appropriate. We are listening to Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I've got some lovely tea, juniper mint honey. These are the Tsao special Target edition teas. So we're gonna get at it. Yay, progress. Rue, why are you so good at helping me, buddy? Are you really helping? So, lots of progress, but Friday is a full day holiday for us. The banks and the stock exchanges are all closed. So I'm off work, and that means I'm going to do puzzling. And we got some lovely, I've got Aldi holiday tree cheeses. Guys, I don't know why, it's not particularly good Gouda, but it's better in the shape of a tree. And we've got a lovely charcuterie board. These were great. This was $10 at Aldi, which if you buy charcuterie, that's pretty inexpensive. So we're gonna graze and puzzle today. And that's gonna be my fun day off.